Yeah. Look at your glasses cracked. But the
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Three Guys Who Love Sports. My name is Chuck Bird. Happy to have you here with us today at Red Hair Brewery out on Delta Industrial Boulevard. Come swing by and join us. I'm joined today by Mr. Jason Alexander and Mr. Tim Henderson.
Hey, how's it going?
We're here to talk about some fun stuff. As you know, the show is for my friend Steve that is suffering from prostate cancer and many other men that are going through some other issues with their health, and we want to just take their mind off the problems for an hour and let them enjoy sports talk. No politics, just sports. That's what we're here to talk about. And we want to hear about your stories too. So if you want to reach us at 470-7-SPORTS, that's 470-777-6787, you're more than welcome to text in and tell us about your greatest autograph session or your greatest sports memorabilia. What have you got in your possession that you're most proud of? That's basically what we're going to be talking about today. We may dip into the USFL a little bit. It was a very interesting week. And we may talk about a little baseball. But we're mainly going to be talking about sports paraphernalia. So once again, hey Tim, thanks for joining us. Jason, welcome back.
Hey, thank you. Oh, love it. I love coming. Love doing it. Love doing it.
Sports paraphernalia, memorabilia. And I think the first thing we'll talk about is what not to do with your sports autograph.
Oh, I've done it before.
I was very fortunate that my brother was a very good athlete. Played basketball at what is now Kennesaw State, but it was Southern Poly then. And he also got drafted by the Los Angeles Dodgers. He was fortunate enough to go down to spring training, and he actually brought me a ball with Sandy Koufax,
jeez,
and Walter Austin autograph on it. And I thought it was really cool. For about, I'd say, 2 hours, and then the baseball we were playing with out the street, the cover came off, but we needed to move on. So I took it outside and played with it.
That'd have been your shot right there. You'd have been your shot right there.
Somebody else said that. Who was that, Larry? Somebody said something about Robert, was it Robert? No, Rusty Phillips. Rusty Phillips.
I heard that ball sign was worth about $10 million is what I heard. I just heard that. I don't know who I heard that from, but I think it
might have been. But there we go. So that was fun. I've had some other great moments. I know there are a lot of opportunities that people have had in the past to get autographs or to have your picture made with somebody. We were just talking off the air a minute ago that don't you wish the camera phone was available in the 80s?
Oh,
and 90s
man.
when we were meeting all these great people and not getting autographs. But we're very fortunate today. Tim's got a lot of great stories to share, and Jason's got some stuff too. Jason is a huge Chicago Cubs fan.
Yeah, born and raised a Chicago fan, so.
So he's hung out with some Cubbies, and we want to hear a little bit about some Cub stories. And so I'll tell you what, let's start with baseball. Okay. Talk some great baseball stories.
Okay.
Jason, tell us about hanging out with Harry Carey.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a great, I was younger, and that's where we came up with, I was like, the first thing Tim asked me, he said, did you get a picture? And I was like, no. I said, we didn't have that then. We did not have pictures. I mean, you just sometimes don't think, and it's just like, it's almost as bad as playing with the baseball sometimes, I think. So, well, maybe, yeah, because that thing was worth $10 million. That's what I heard. But, no, it was I was young, my brother and I would have been more excited now that he's, passed on, gone, and that's just an icon for being a Cubs fan for years and years. It's a long tradition of my family. So you better not come there and not be a Cubs fan. So you're going to have problems, I can tell you that. So, but just hanging out with them, young, drunk, Yeah, no, not me. That's what I was asked to, and I was like, no, I was not. I was a little young, but maybe now it would be. Soon thereafter, we may have had a really good conversation, or he might have let me done the seventh inning stretch. Who knows?
Were you in there?
Who knows? No, I was not. It was a quick brief. We got to go into the booth right there in Wrigley Field. First time I'd ever been to Wrigley Field. I was probably 12 or 13 years old when I did that. So, I mean, So just a good. I remember being there. I wish I would have like more about it and been instead of probably running around like thinking of other things. But yeah, no, that was a great moment. So so and there's more with that too. Talking about this too, back still to this day. 1908, we have my great grandfather was at the World Series in 1908, and we have that ticket. We have that ticket.
Really?
Yes.
It's behind glass.
It is. It is behind glass. There's only a couple There's only a couple people that know it, and my grandmother has it. She's 94, and she's getting older. And there's people that are actually like starting to hound around her house, and they're like, "We're gonna have to, if God forbid something happened to her, we're gonna have to get some please." I mean, I would think. I think. I have no clue what that's worth. I have no idea. I've seen a picture is all I've seen. I mean, I think that would be something
I think that'd be
just.
a great thing to put in the silent auction in that area.
I bet you would. I bet you would.
My baseball story, Tim's going to be getting up and down a lot because he's within reach of all our memorabilia today. This is probably my most.
Turn your phone off, Chuck.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to try baseball thing. It's because he's a friend. This is Bruce Suter. Bruce Suter, when he became an Atlanta Brave, my brother was president there at a country club, and they became friends. Bruce joined. Got to play golf with Bruce a couple of times. Jason doesn't like us because it's a Cardinal and not a Cubs.
Well, I'd much rather it be a Braves fan than a Cardinals fan. If anybody knows, we do not like the Cardinals. Go Cubs. I will take a Braves fan over Cardinals, which that's rough for me too sometimes. But anyway, continue on.
Played golf with Bruce a couple times. Coached his kids in football and basketball, baseball. They're good kids. So happy to know Bruce. But I bought some Hank Aaron stuff. I've told Tim about this all the time. I think in 1980. Not too long after he had retired, he had 755 home runs, isn't that right?
Yes.
And he's still the baseball home run king as far as I'm concerned.
Same.
But when he did this, they had a time-lapse photography of him touching every base, and also going into the dugout. And he autographed all 755 of them. And I thought it'd be worth some money one day, so I laid down $2,000 and got 4 of them. Today they're worth about $400, so they have lost value. So,
well,
again,
part of collecting.
I'm all about the art of collecting, and not
Right.
so much about making money.
Right,
But
right.
Tim is a much better.
Oh, we'll see that in a minute.
So Tim, tell us your favorite baseball story.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in this for investing, I'd probably say stay away from that because the memories you make on it is great. I guess one of my favorite baseball stories, I'll go with a Cubs story for Jason.
Yes, thank you. Go Cubs.
So it was late 90s when McGuire and Sosa were going for the home run.
I remember that.
Record for the season. And McGuire actually had a routine where he would sign inside the park every game. And Sosa signed some inside the park, but most of the time you had to kind of catch him away from the park a little bit. And I remember going down to Turner Field and trying to go inside, and there was just people everywhere trying to get Sosa because of this race and because of how much his autograph was going for at that time. It wasn't just fans, it was dealers as well. And so we decided that the ballpark was not the way to go.
Yeah.
So we took a ride over afterwards to the hotel, got caught in traffic. But everything happened for a reason because as soon as we walked in the door, I turned around and Sammy Sosa was right in front of me walking through the front door.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm scrambling to get a ball
right.
Out of my pocket here and actually out of my backpack. And turn around, Mr. Sosa, and he's actually really nice about it. He says, "Oh yeah, I'll sign that." And he takes my pen, signs the ball in a ballpoint pen, which is what you're supposed to get a baseball signed in. But my buddy had a Sports Illustrated, and he wouldn't switch pens. So sorry to that friend, but he got a Sports Illustrated signed in a ballpoint. But at the time, we were just happy to get him.
Yes.
Because he wasn't signing in every city as much as he used to because the spotlight was on him. But that was a fun story.
Yeah. Well, I've actually got Mark McGuire's rookie card,
Nice.
which is which I just found out recently. I've had it for years, and something triggered it. I don't know what. So I saw something, and I decided to go look. I've actually got a lot of really good, valuable cards that I had no clue. I know Sammy Sosa for some reason. That's weird, but I do have a Mark McGwire one that is his rookie card, whatever it is. It is. I've looked it up. I've gone to dealers, and it's worth some money. And I'm like,
Well,
okay. Even I got some Barry Bonds ones that are worth
that's fun.
crazy amounts of money. I'm like,
when my son was born in '89, I bought a whole box of the tops, every card from that year, and I took it to a dealer and said, "Oh, it's got to be worth something." He said, $10.
Yeah.
Why is that, Tim? Why is it that some cards are worth more than a whole set?
Well, nowadays cards are totally different. It's a new market.
Oh yes, and that's what I was getting ready to say.
Graded cards now. So if you get a card graded and it's let's say 8, 9, or 10 with the corners and the centering, that makes that card very unique.
Yes.
And so there may only be a few of those in the world, of that particular card.
Just
so
for that reason,
that
but it was just a whole different, we collect. I mean, I got these out of packages when I was younger and didn't think they're very tightly, sealed and all that stuff. But I had no clue how much, growing up, it was like that's what we did. It
Well,
goes
a lot
back.
of people
We didn't
put it
have
in the spokes
phones.
of their bikes.
We didn't have phones. We didn't have that. That's what we did. I was probably one of the last. I'm 44. Probably one of the last generations that actually really just we collected every card.
Right.
That's what we did. Try to get the whole leaf set, get the whole top set, and then we got.
And Tops was basically the only one that was doing it in '89. Wasn't that what you were telling me?
So yeah, and Upper Deck came along.
Upper
in
Deck.
89.
That's another one.
Yep, absolutely. And so.
So it devalued the other companies.
Well, the 80s and the 90s, they're known as the card boom. They
Yeah.
mass-produced cards back then.
Right.
And so if you have a King Griffey Jr. 89 Upper Deck and it's not graded, you may get $80 for it.
Right.
If you can
Right.
grade it
Which
at
I
10,
actually think I do.
It might be $400 or $500 or more.
Right.
Depending on what you can get
yeah.
at auction for it. So.
Yeah.
But it's like I had no clue. I had no clue what, I was just like, I started looking at one and I started looking at another and I really started reading. I was like, oh man, look at this is, this is a good little. I have no interest of selling it. People are like, did you sell it? I was like, no interest of selling,
How about,
none at all.
Ticket stubs, are they worth anything?
So again, they're doing grading now.
I mean,
and
if they're not autographed,
mangled,
if they're not autographed or anything, are they
so
still
specific games are. I actually just got a ticket stub from Hunter Green's Braves game last Sunday, the Reds. It was his debut ticket, and so Hunter Green got drafted a few years ago, #1 pick overall by the Reds, and been in the farm system for a few years, and that was his debut in the majors.
Yeah.
So ticket stubs that have significance like that. 600 home run ticket stubs, no hitter ticket stubs, things like that. Those definitely are worth money to collectors. Most of the time, the collector that wants to buy it wants to get them to sign it at some point, either in a private signing or a public signing.
Sure.
How about like non-tickets? And what I mean is, like, I was at the game when Gene Garber stopped Pete Rose's hitting streak.
I would say that a Gene Garber fan or that team's fan would like that. I'm sure there's somebody out there that
Take
would
a
want
picture for the Braves.
Okay, yeah.
It was at Atlanta.
For sure.
Yeah. So that's wild.
So hold on to your stuff. I mean, like I said.
Yeah. Number
Hold
one,
on.
put your ticket stubs under glass.
Do not play with your $10 million
And I'll tell you one
ball.
quick story before Gaps gets in here for Red Hair. I used to work for a company called Euro, and Dunkin' Donuts was a client of mine. And Dunkin' Donuts was supposed to come in town, and I had tickets to the Braves Diamondbacks game at Turner Field. Then caught a foul ball there too one time, was really cool. But Chris Baer was my client at Dunkin', and Chris was coming down, and I was going to take him to the ball game. He called me that morning. He couldn't catch a flight, so he had to cancel his trip. I said, you know what? I'm not going to go to the game. I've been out of town. I need to go home. Randy Johnson picked a perfect game that night,
nice.
and I gave the tickets to somebody else.
You really messed
So the
up.
funny
You
thing
really need to
that
think
is,
about this from
Randy
now on.
Johnson never signs typically before the game. His routine when he played was he signed the day after he pitched. He signed that next morning for me on a baseball.
Now Now I'm really angry.
And if you got that ticket stub sign, that's a good little chunk of change as well.
Thanks for reminding me of that, Tim. Jason, step out a second.
Yep,
Let's
all right.
get Miss Gabby in here. Come on in, Gabby.
Thank you for having me.
No, you bet. Thank you for having us here at Red Hair yet again this week.
Oh, of course, every week,
So
man.
tell us what's going on. We got the bartender contest coming up this week, right? Next Saturday?
It's going to be this Saturday. We're going to have 4 new
Up to the mic.
Yeah. It's going to be this Saturday. We're going to have 4 new cocktails coming out. Our bartenders worked very hard on coming up with some new recipes. We'll have live music, we'll have food, and we're also dropping a new lager as well.
Wow.
I know we got a lot of lager fans around here.
And what time is that?
It's going to be 12 to 7. And then, music's going to be 2 to 5, and then food will be all day.
And I think the weather's supposed to be beautiful this weekend.
Yeah, you can't ask for more.
No, you can't. And tell us a little bit about the race that's coming up in June.
We have a 5K coming up in June. Really excited about that. It's the SBF Sprint. You can go ahead and sign up online. It's on all our social media pages. And then at both our locations, we have the QR codes as well.
And the race is actually on the square, right?
Yeah, it's going to be in Marietta Square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we can't let you out of here without asking you a sports question. Are you a sports fan at all?
Oh, of course. I'm a Florida girl, though.
Oh, you're a Gator.
No, I'm like Miami Heat, Miami Dolphins.
Oh, anything South Florida.
Yeah, and I went to UCF, so I like
the Golden Knights.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
UCF Knights.
Yeah. Well, that's a good school.
Yeah.
George O'Leary was probably the coach when you were there.
Yeah. That was back in the day. Huh?
Yeah. So I love George O'Leary because he's Georgia Tech's football coach.
Yeah.
That's
Go
awesome.
Knights.
Go Knights. So have you ever got any cool autographs or anything from anybody?
I have a Dan Marino autograph.
Do you?
Yeah, my dad's a big-time Dolphins fan. He signed a football for us, and I have a signed jersey as well.
Do you have that at home?
My dad does at home. He wants to get it framed.
That's
I'm
really
not
cool.
allowed to touch it.
I've got a friend named Dave Mysick. Dave, if you're out there, I love you, buddy. Dave has a shrine in his house, a whole room
As he should.
dedicated to Dan Marino. He's a huge Dolphins fan.
Yep.
And Canes fan, too. So he's all
Yeah.
over the Canes and that.
That's
But,
what my dad said when I got into UCF. He's like, I'm sorry, but I still love the Canes. I'm like, it's okay. You can be a split house.
Yeah. Well, I got to meet Marino one time, which was really cool.
Yeah.
He was at a charity golf tournament in Raleigh, North Carolina at Crosdale Country Club. And I was there with a bunch of celebrities for Eminem Mars. It was a blast.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's a good guy. I met him once. The restaurant I used to work for, he was a president of the restaurant. So at openings, he'd come. And I'm so small. I know you can't see on camera, but I'm 5'2". I'm a tiny little person. He went to go shake my hand, and it was like,
Oh, he had big hands. Well, I'll have to tell you about that story sometime offline. That was a really, really fun time. Well, thanks for coming in. You
Of
did
course.
great.
Thank you. Thank
She
you for
was a little
having me.
camera shy. She was
I'm a little
fantastic.
camera shy, but I just want to roll punches.
You did great, Dad.
Thank you.
Come on back in, Jason. So, that's cool. So,
Nice,
it'd be a good
nice.
segue.
Go UCF.
Go Knights. So,
Go
we can
Knights.
segue over to football, since we're talking about football now.
Oh, man. Who knows where this is going to go?
Well, we don't. But that's the fun thing about this show, We don't care where it goes. We're just going to have a good time. My football non-moments were hung out with Steve Bartkowski for 1 year. He and I became friends. Never got a picture, never got an autograph, just because I didn't have a cell phone. And I was in the Georgia Dome, and nobody had paper or anything around. So I just hung out with Steve, which was really cool. I was telling these guys earlier, I met Johnny Unitas one time at the BWI airport in Baltimore. Just shook his hand at the gate, and that was about it. But, man, Tim, show us your helmet. This is one of the coolest things I've ever
Yes,
seen.
this is very fascinating.
Yeah. So
Chuck tried to put it on. We're like, we don't advise that.
It won't fit.
He's
This
got a
is
big head, and we didn't want to have to cut that off.
Don't go there. Don't go there. This is not a day.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So
Let's talk about the helmet.
This is a helmet with all Hall of Fame signees on it. Not everybody
Very
that's
nice.
in the Hall of Fame, but everybody that signed this helmet is on the Hall of Fame. Tell us your story as I knock down my microphone.
For sure. So back in the late 90s and early 2000s, some buddies of mine would go up to the enshrinement every year at Canton, Ohio. It's a really fun time if you've never been there. We usually get there around Wednesday. Most people don't know, but a lot of the Hall of Famers start coming in middle of the week, and then they definitely fly in Thursdays and Friday, but a lot of the bigger names fly in on Wednesday. And so we would pick an airport, either Cleveland Airport or Canton Airport, one day, and you just go and you just kind of sit there and wait. So you really don't know who you're going to see, so it's kind of fun. So that's why I had a helmet, because anybody who showed up, just about, if they were in the Hall of Fame, they could sign this helmet. And
Now,
so,
did you buy that at the Hall of Fame?
I did not. At the Hall of Fame, these are pretty expensive, but you can get them online for about $100,
Yeah, cool.
unsigned. So I bought it beforehand and took it up there with me. So I mean, one of the coolest memories I have from up there was meeting Bart Starr.
Very nice.
He was really a cool guy. Really cared about having a conversation with you.
Yeah.
No matter how many people were around.
Right.
Bart Starr, though,
It was personal.
He didn't sign a whole lot toward the end of his career, or the end of his life, I guess, toward when he went to the Hall of Fame. He would give you a card, and it had a mailing address on it. And he would want you to donate to the Brett Starr Foundation.
Okay.
And he would be happy to, if you included that card that you met him out, he would sign that for you for a small donation. And he would even give it an amount. So a lot of the stuff, but I was able to get a picture with him there, which was really cool.
That's really
Do you think that was a real? I mean, I'm just all the things that go on. You think he actually was authentic, or he had somebody signing it for him? Or
Oh no!
I was wondering if it was a
pretty well, and I actually talked to his secretary one time,
Right.
And he definitely he was very
Oh, that's
passionate
cool.
about the fans. I think he definitely signed it.
Yeah.
Everything there, and a lot of the stuff that I've gotten has passed authentication.
Sure.
Third-party
Sure.
verification.
No, I was just, you'd think he goes somewhere else. You never know. That's any of this stuff. You never,
Now, he
you
wouldn't
know.
sign large helmets because he would say, "Oh, I don't want you to have to mail that." But if it was a flat item like a Sports Illustrated,
Sure.
I collect a lot of
Okay.
times,
Okay.
10 or a card.
Very
He'd say,
impressive.
"Send that to me in the mail, man."
Sounds like a cool
I'll
guy.
take a picture with you, but I'm not going to do that. I'll be here all day if I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
But that was cool to run into him, and I've met Dan Marino up there, John Elway, Joe Montana. So when you go to the Hall of Fame, they have a parade.
Yeah.
And so the parade is a great place because they all are right around the Hall of Fame entrance.
Is that on Saturday?
That is.
Because they typically play the game on Saturday night or Sunday night.
I believe it's Saturday night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Sunday, but and so it's before the Hall of Fame game, and you're just walking down the street, kind of like a Super Bowl, and you're looking over and you're just seeing Eric Dickerson and Lynn Barton.
Very
and all
nice.
these huge
Yeah.
names.
The game has to be Sunday because Saturday night they do the Hall of Fame induction.
That's right.
Yeah. Now you've been to the induction.
Yes.
To me, that would be one of the coolest things to go to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The energy there, and the
It's like a bucket list item there.
Yeah, it is for sure. And you do see a lot of the teammates of the people who are getting inducted. So sometimes you kind of got to be prepared for that too. I think it was Aikman that got inducted, and
All the other Cowboys were
Emmett
there.
showed up, and Irvin showed up, and
Yeah.
all these people. You're talking about you didn't have a piece of paper at the Georgia Dome. One time I didn't have a piece of paper for Emmitt Smith, and I
Find a
went
napkin.
it was in like a hotel restaurant, and I took the display that had the white background, and I said, can I have this? And they said, sure. I took it over to it, I turned it over where it looked like an index card because it had a white background, but the other side was actually an advertisement, and he signed that for me.
So what you're saying is, anytime you go to a game, have something in your be prepared at any moment. You may not ever have anything, but
Exactly. When we go on trips,
even if it fits in your pocket.
I have index cards in my back pocket always.
I mean, yeah,
Index
I
cards
mean-
again, I'm like, yes, I do.
Well, speaking of football, our engineer Larry brought some really cool stuff. Larry has the original program from the first football game that ever took place at Sanford Stadium. Is that right?
Oh,
Larry?
Bulldogs! Yes, that's pretty cool.
No, it's not cool. That's a bulldog.
Well,
Other than that, it is pretty
We
cool.
forgive
Larry,
you.
Larry's got some cool stuff.
We
It's
forgive
got
you,
rules-
Georgia Tech fan.
A red book that's got the rules to being a dog from 1929.
Wow.
That's before even I was born. Can you believe that? That's a long time ago. So Larry's got some pretty cool stuff too. He brought it in to show. Bring us over the little
yeah, let's see it. I mean, that's a neat thing.
we'll
I'm
see the
sure.
program anyway.
I'm sure a
Let's
lot
look
of
at it.
Bulldog fans would.
There's no Bulldog fans here.
Wrong. Wrong. There might be a couple here.
So this is the program for the first ever Georgia Bulldog game at Sanford Stadium.
Wow.
Look who they played.
Who did they play?
Yale.
Yale.
And do you know Yale's nickname?
I do not.
It's the Bulldogs. So the Bulldogs played the Bulldogs with their first ever game.
That's pretty neat.
That's a pretty cool
That's a pretty
little
neat
program.
thing right there.
Now, I have a Heinz Ward autograph, but it's on a business magazine that he was a featured story in. So he signed that. That's really the only football autograph I think I have. But if I could get one person to sign an autograph, I think it would have to be Jerry Rice, because Jerry's my favorite receiver of all time.
Good one.
Sweetness is my favorite running
That's a
back.
classic one.
I love Walter Payton. You know, I've got the Paul Payton stuff in.
Yeah.
I do.
Do you
I
really?
didn't get it, but I have one in my collection.
Now, how did you get that? It's something you wrote in and got?
It's from his foundation.
Oh, okay.
The Sweetness Foundation.
Yeah.
Before he passed away, he used to sign this particular 8x10. It's like a collage of his career if he made donations.
That's cool. So is that how you get a lot of this stuff?
I get some of it through the mail, but most of it now
Face-to-face?
is more it's face to face. Yeah.
Now, were you a Bears fan too? If you were a Cubs fan?
I do like the Bears. I'm probably more of a Falcons fan, unfortunately. But I do love the Braves. It's just nowhere near like the Cubs,
Well,
but we do like our Bears and where we come. But
No, it's funny.
you're okay if you stray from them a little bit.
It's funny
so.
that Tim mentioned Bart Starr, because Bart Starr's the reason I was a huge football fan.
Oh, nice.
Because before the Falcons were in Atlanta, the Green Bay Packers were my favorite team.
Okay.
And hence, I don't know if I told you or not, but 3 years ago I went to Lambeau Field.
No.
So,
I've always wanted to do
so
that.
Angie Blank, who was
When it's 20 below.
an ex-wife
20
of
below,
Bart
though.
Starr,
I got to go when it's
was a good friend
cold.
of mine.
Yeah.
It was 14 degrees when we went. It was
Yeah,
I said, I don't want to go in September, but it's
See,
about-
I want to do it if it's like 8 below. Like, I want to do the
It's tough to get
frigid
an 8
kind
below
of.
game, but it was 14 degrees, and there was a guy next to us in nothing but overalls. And
That
he
doesn't.
reminded me a lot
I've heard of
Billy
that. Well, I wouldn't do that. I don't like the cold that much. There's no
But
way
it
you'd
was-
ever see me
I
in the
wanted to
cold.
go to the game at Lambeau Field when it was cold. I didn't want to go, like I said, in September. I wanted the elements.
Yes.
I wanted frozen.
You got to
tundra.
feel the
Yeah.
frozen tundra part
Yeah.
of it.
So
I don't know what temperature that
and I
starts
think it
at.
was
but-
right after Bart Starr had died, or right before he died. I can't. It was very close to that, but they have a whole section for Bart Starr up there.
Nice.
Huge Packers fan. Like number 2 to the Falcons, but love them. But Jerry Rice has always been my favorite wide receiver.
He's a good one.
And I'll
That's a
never
good
forget the very first year Fantasy Football League came out. Me and all my buddies at work got a league together. And I was very fortunate to get the very first draft pick in Fantasy Football League in our league. And I chose Jerry Rice. And he just kicked tail. So I've always been a Rice fan. But
So speaking of Jerry Rice, fun story there.
oh gee.
Oh, here we go. We know why we had him on.
In the 90s, I would say the late 90s, Jerry Rice came out with these sugar-free gummy bears, and he toured around and went to a bunch of the different Kmarts around this town and all over.
Around Atlanta?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
But he would, if you would buy a box of his gummies, he would sign one autograph for you of anything that you wanted.
Really?
Yeah, so we found out about this, so we started going and everything. And the first time I went, he walked through the line and thanked everybody for coming out, first off.
Class dude.
Absolutely. And this is one of the things that I might regret now, but I got a picture with him, and I asked him if I could put his Super Bowl ring on, and he looks at me and he says, "I think I can catch you." Sure. So I have a picture somewhere, and that's the regret of him, of me and him, and I'm doing his Super Bowl ring just like this on me, and but it came out in Kmart. It was one of those throwaway cameras,
Yeah.
and it was so dark you couldn't even see it.
Ah,
Oh, how disappointing.
Yeah.
I heard that was worth $10 million too.
I'm
I'm just saying, that's what I heard. If you had a
$10
picture of
million,
him,
Hey,
oh, yours is only 5.
speaking of $10 million, Tim is our sponsor this week, so we're going to let him talk a little bit about LGE and the company he works for.
Yeah, thanks so much. So LGE Community Credit Union, we're actually Lockheed Martin's credit union, but we're open to anyone who lives or works in one of our counties. And we have 14 locations in the Atlanta area, specializing in auto loans specifically. We have some really great products with high rewards checking as far as interest rate goes. So check us out at www.lgeccu.org. I'm the branch manager in Kennesaw, and if you ever have any financial needs, we're kind of a one-stop shop. We're a not-for-profit organization, so our board of directors are volunteers who are actually members. So they're looking out for the best interest of the other members. They're not a paid board or anything like that, like a traditional bank.
Okay.
So we take pride in that, and would love to help anybody in the area with your financial needs. So thanks for having me today, Chuck. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. Glad you're here. You obviously had a lot more than me and Jason can about autographs. So we've covered baseball. We've done some football. Let's talk a little basketball. I have a Harlem Globetrotters autographed basketball, but way past Meadowlark Lemon and Pearly
nice.
Neal's day. But it's still a cool thing to have. My son, I can't remember, me or my ex-wife, we won tickets on the radio for him to go into the locker room at halftime and sit down on the bench during the game and all, down at the Thriller Dome at Georgia Tech, the finest school in the world. But
open for
it was really
discussion.
fun to go to, and it was a great time. But nothing compared to what Mr. Tim has in store for us. Bring that jersey over here. I want to hear all about this one.
Okay.
So, obviously, Steph Curry, the greatest shooter of all time.
Would you like us to hold it?
Sure.
Like, I can hold it.
Hold one side. So, Steph Curry is like one of the nicest guys out there. I've met him a few times. My daughter actually got to meet him last year, I believe it was, when he came to town. And she was just so excited. He got off the bus over by the arena and walked straight to her, took a picture with her. Most of the time, Steph's in a hurry. He signs for everybody. Taking pictures is kind of tough. But he did.
Curry in a hurry?
Curry in a hurry. But
Okay.
but he stopped for her, took a picture with her. But yeah, so Steph Curry, I mean,
Nice.
Greatest shooter of all time, and he loves his fans. If you want to get a Steph Curry, I would say go inside to the stadium. Look, get down there early. Typically, you have to buy a ticket over by the tunnel that he's going to come out of. But he has an awesome shooting routine. If you've never seen it, check it out. It's shooting, it's dribbling, and he does it just about every game. I mean, that's his routine. That's what he does. And that's when he knows he's ready for the game. And then when he gets done, he walks over almost every time and just signs as many autographs as he can for fans. So he's definitely one of the more fan-friendly people out
Very
there
nice.
inside of the stadium for sure.
Let me ask you this. Couple of questions. I've always been fascinated by this stuff, but you said your daughter had a picture with him. Are pictures worth more if they're autographed than just an autograph?
Are you talking about a picture with someone?
With somebody, yeah. 'Cause
I would say
Good
like
question.
this
No.
picture of Bruce Sutter.
Right.
With me and Bruce Sutter, it's not that big a deal. Nobody wants a picture of me, but they do want a picture of Bruce, but nobody cares about a picture of me and Bruce.
Right. So if an autograph is personalized or has someone else's picture in it, typically they're not worth as much.
Right.
You want it unhurt. But that's why a lot of people sign them too, though, is they'll come over and they'll say, "What's your name?" And if they can put your name on it, they feel a little more comfortable about signing.
Right.
Because they don't feel like it's going to be sold.
Exactly.
So like this says to Kev, which is my son.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, makes sense.
So it makes them less valuable.
Right.
And
Correct.
to say I won't sell. That makes sense. I never thought of it that way, but that's cool. Which is why, and this is off sports, but I have an autograph with Olivia Newton-John, and it says to Chuck with love. So at one point in my life, I might have become unlovable, but at one point in my life I was because Olivia said I would. But,
Very nice.
So that means nothing to anybody else but me, which makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
So in general, I mean, I could ask Jason for his autograph. He'd probably give it to me.
Yeah, I've got a famous name, Jason Alexander.
Yeah, he doesn't look like
I
him.
don't look like him, but that's a
Actually,
famous
look like
name.
him all the time, but that's okay.
So,
But,
you know.
but tell us the ins and outs of getting autographs and what's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I'm fascinated
What
by
do you-
that,
What
'cause
do you need to totally avoid doing?
The ins and outs of getting autographs. Wow, that's a tough one. I would say, look around your area for celebrity and charity golf tournaments. Those are usually really good. I've met a lot of former players there. The stadiums are good. Now that COVID's kind of winding down, they are opening it back up. But typically, you have to have a ticket in the area of where they come out of, and you can get them down there. I would say for the Braves, there's a ticket that you can buy. It's an on-field ticket, and so for batting practice, you get to stand behind. You get to stand on the field behind the backstop, and those usually people who buy those usually get the autographs of the Braves who are willing to come over and things like that.
Like during batting practice.
During batting
stuff,
practice before the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, never ask them during the game. They can't sign during the game. They don't sign during the game. And that's pretty much for every sport, I would say. Ins and outs. Make sure you got a Sharpie and an index card on you at all times. So
Yes,
no matter
definitely.
What you run into, be prepared. As I say.
A little more than a napkin or paper towel you find on the ground.
When I ride around Atlanta, I have a football, a basketball, and a baseball in my trunk almost at all times because you just never know who you're going to see walking down the street.
It's very true.
Or even going to a ball game or going to a concert.
So is there a sport that you find more where the players are more acceptable of signing autographs, one over the other? Is it more of an individual thing?
I would say it depends on the star.
And that's what I was going to say. Does it depend if they're a veteran or a rookie? The
It does.
rookies probably
It does.
sign
I would
more
say
than
most rookies sign more because they're still appreciative of their fans.
right.
The veterans, some of them sign, some of them don't. But it really just depends on their mood in any given day.
Yeah. Sure.
Really.
So what's the hardest autograph you've ever obtained
The hardest
that you really wanted?
I got Barry Bonds when he was.
I have his rookie card.
Is it autographed?
No, but it's worth a lot of money,
At the time,
from what I understand.
he was a very tough autograph toward the end of his career with the Giants, and they were in town playing the Braves in a playoff series, and I had gotten into the family room section with some of the Giants players' family and stuff. They had invited me in, and basically Bonds walked out, and he only signed one autograph, and that was mine. So that
nice.
was a good one. Kobe Bryant, I got him one day, and
Now that's worth a lot more now.
he only signed one autograph, and you know why he signed it? Because
Why?
I said, Kobe, will you make this to Tim? And he took it with him, walked all the way to the bus with it, got on the bus. I thought he was keeping my basketball. And then he turned around on the bus and signs it, hands it back to me, and says, there you go, Tim. And I think he did that looking back on it, so he didn't have to sign for every single person that was with me. Because there was probably
Star one and
20
just
people there.
turned it
So
up.
he's like, well, if I carry the ball all the way to the bus, he knows nobody else can get on the bus with him.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
So that was a fun one, too.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So if you want to keep it, get your name on it. If you want to sell it, don't. That's basically what we've learned today, right, Jason?
Yes. Learned a lot.
That's really cool. So, hey, Michael.
You want me to do this
You got a Derek Jeter story? Well, yeah, I want to talk more about the generalities, but yeah, tell us about Jeter. That's cool.
This is a fun story. So this is an 11 by 14 signed by Jeter and Cal Ripken. And the fun story is really more with Jeter. So I got a phone call. I was working at CarMax at the time, and I got a phone call from a buddy that Derek Jeter was going to be in Tampa, and he was going to be at the Super Show. The Super Show is an exclusive show for wholesalers. So not everyone can get in, but he said he had tickets for it.
Okay.
So I talked to my boss at CarMax, said, hey, this is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Can I, we're kind of slow. Can I leave? He's like, sure. We drove down to Tampa overnight, went into the Super Show. We get in there, and the company that was sponsoring him was a batting cage company. And so the batting cage had photos for Derek to sign. Couldn't get your own item, and they would stop you at the entrance. Well, me and my buddy decided, well, I need to get my 11 by 14 signed.
Right.
That's what we came for, right? Like, the photo's nice, but I really want my photo signed. So I had on a baggy shirt. I wrapped the 11 by 14 around my arm and wrist, and I walk up to him. And as I get there, I kind of pull my sleeve up and pull it out and said, Derek, can you sign this instead?
Yeah.
And he just looked at me and shook his head, and he's like, what's your name? And so he personalized it to me, and that's
Right.
that's how I got my 11 by 14 sign.
But he can obviously tell that you wanted it for you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why he asked you your name.
Yeah.
If you'd have said, I don't want to tell you my name, he would probably
He
said,
probably
he
would
would
have
have
said,
said,
Yeah.
slid it over to me.
yeah, he would have said no. That's really cool.
Interesting.
And so you mentioned something else. Autographing people that have, when an athlete passes away, does their autograph become more expensive or more valuable or less valuable?
Most of the time, it becomes more valuable, depending on how many that person signed. If it was a tough signer, Kobe Bryant, for instance.
Yeah.
I mean, his stuff is still 3 times what it was when he was alive.
Oh, really?
Or more.
Yeah. And what do you have of Kobe's?
I have a basketball and a Slam magazine.
Next show is going to be from Tim's house.
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth more. Again, if it's personalized, probably not as much. But I will tell you this: that even the personalized autographs, when someone passes, sell for double what they normally would.
Yeah.
Just because people at that point really don't care. They just want that signature because they're so emotionally attached
To that person.
Yeah.
Well, just like this Barry Bonds, I had no clue. I just think, he got accused of all the things that he was doing and steroids and stuff, but it didn't seem to, I just figured it was worth $5 or something because of all that. But obviously,
Well, Jason,
once
if
I've
you
had
could-
it looked at, and then I'm like, okay.
If you could get an autograph, who would it be?
Who would I get an
Any
autograph
athlete
from?
was.
Oh, man, that's a tough one. It would be a Cub.
Yeah.
Probably Ryan Sandberg.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite. Mark Grace, those were some of my favorite ones
Glenn
growing
Becker.
up. Glenn Becker's a good one, and if,
Steve Shea, the Penguin. He played.
I'd get a couple of these since the World Series 2016. I'd love to have a Rizzo and Javier Baez, Chris Bryant. Even though they all broke my heart and moved on, all in 45 minutes.
Such as the
Last
game
July.
today, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
But we're okay. We'll be fine.
That's really cool.
little
So,
heartbroken.
Tim, the top 3 rules of gathering autographs. What are they?
Top 3 rules of gathering autographs. Well, one's be prepared. Like I said, you never know who you're going to see.
That's a good one.
Make sure test your pen before you actually hand it to
Hey,
the
that's a
person.
good one. I never thought of that.
It's funny, Cal Ripken, when he used to sign, he had so many marks on his hand because he cared so much about how that autograph looked when he signed your item that he would test your pen on his hand to make sure. So testing the pen is huge because if you have a streaky Sharpie, you want to get a brand new one
Right.
to put or let someone else, or use someone else's.
What about approaching them?
Yeah.
I mean, is the approach
I would say
I wouldn't
you
go in there,
gotta be-
don't.
They're people too. You got to be polite and
Just act like normal.
please and thank you.
Yeah.
And just let them know. Hey, I'm a big fan. Would you mind signing an autograph for me or a signature for me? Yeah, it's
I
definitely.
think that would go a long way too. So an approach on it.
Yeah, you don't just shove something in their face.
Yeah, and say here, or
Yeah.
I'm screaming if I'm
Yeah. And
They're
if there's
going
a lot of
crazy
people,
and-
it's a good thing if you know the routine. Just y'all line up, especially if he's going to sign one, he's going to sign for all. Just
Right.
line up and be calm.
Be patient and wait.
I have some buddies in Atlanta who have we've gotten together before the person comes out, and we'll say, okay, we're going to line up, and he's going to go all the way down the line because that's what he always does. And if we get chaotic and someone tries to jump over someone else, they stop.
Yeah.
But if we just stand in the line and hold our item out, they just go right down the line and sign the 7 or 10 autographs that
Right. Right.
we're wanting them to sign. One for each person or something. So.
That's always fascinating to me to watch the U.S. Open, the tennis tournament.
Oh yeah.
And all these people have these huge tennis balls.
Yeah.
And they sign so fast. I thought, how the hell can you read what their autograph says if
Right.
they're signing that quickly? I mean, I know I can't even read my autograph when I sign my name. But these professionals, I guess they're just identifiable because everybody knows who it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think they say autographs are to be recognized, not to be read.
Right.
Oh, that's a good saying.
I think you just gotta know the autograph. And another good tip is document it. I wish I'd have documented more in the '90s than what I did because I met Michael Jordan a few different times, and I just wish I'd have documented those dates more, and I
Yeah.
could go back and remember more of what happened on.
But it is. You go back, it's crazy. We didn't have the technology then. I mean, nobody carried around a camera. I mean, that you just didn't.
No,
It was all about the cards, getting the card and then getting it signed. So.
I hung out with some pretty cool people back in the day, and just never had a camera. I would have loved to have my picture made with Johnny U.
Yeah, same here. Harry Carey,
Yeah.
yes, 100%.
Hey, you don't want a picture made with him anymore.
No, probably not.
Yeah. Skip, not Skip. Chip still calls for the Braves, doesn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Announcers, are their autographs ever worth anything?
He's not my favorite Brave fans.
The most valuable ones.
Phil Rizzuto probably was.
Yeah.
Who? Skip.
Skip Carey.
Yeah. I think the announcers are more valuable to that team fan base.
Yeah.
You know, but once they get in the Hall of Fame, they're very, very valuable.
Yeah.
The announcers are.
There were very few announcers.
It's just
in the Hall of
iconic,
Fame,
you
though,
know.
right?
There are.
I know Summerall is, right?
Right.
Pat
Vince
Summerall.
Scully,
And Madden.
Yep.
Madden was a good one.
You know, and and I mean Vince Scully. You know, his autographs worth a lot of money right now.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's still kicking. Yeah.
He's pretty old now.
He doesn't. He's in his 90s. He doesn't call for the Dodgers anymore. But I've seen him talk on some shows and stuff. He seems very lucid. Seems very. I think one of the other cool autographs that I don't have, but I got them for my sons, is John Wooden's autograph.
Okay.
When he was 94 years old. I mean, and his signature looked like he was 20. I mean, it was very professionally
His
done.
autograph was crisp until the
Yeah. That's not something you see every day, is it?
No. The old timers take pride in their signatures. The new guys, you know, they just try to sign as many as they can as quickly as they can.
Right.
You know, Klay Thompson of the Golden State Warriors, he's got a very quick signature, but he's also got a really nice one depending on how many people are
Right.
around. If there's only 3 people there, you're probably going to get a good one. If there's 20, you're going to get the very rushed signature.
Right.
There's a big difference in value there, too.
Yeah. Legibility means a lot when it's come to.
Had
when
no
it comes
clue
to
with that.
Watching
but,
them charge somebody for it, right? Yeah. All right. Well, we got Mr. Pearson calling in for Pearson's Points. Let's see what Steve has to say. Steven?
Yes, sir.
How's my favorite autograph hound doing?
Oh, I'm not an autograph hound. I just have a few.
Yeah.
I'm not nearly as skilled as some of your co-hosts are, but I do have quite a few things. Most of them I got when I was a kid, and I would write players. But I have a lot of golf stuff too that I accumulated by just going to East Lake or the tournament at the old timers tournament over at TPC Sugarloaf.
Yeah. And would you agree with some of Tim's assessments of how the best way to get autographs is? Because I've known Steve close to 40 years, and you used to write for autographs too, didn't you, Steve?
Yeah, when I was a kid in the early 70s, late 60s, I would actually write players. And my mistake, I usually sent them a baseball card and ask them to sign the baseball card or send me an autographed picture of themselves. I only got one baseball card back signed, and that was from the great Walter Alston. The other ones, I don't know what happened to the cards, but I never got them back. And to this day, I do not have a Willie Mays card. I wanted his autograph so bad, never got it. But every Willie Mays card I ever got as a kid, I sent to the San Francisco Giants and asked Willie to sign it, and never heard back. So he must have been a tough autograph while he was playing. Of course, he was the toast of the world at that point. But I probably had 10,000 baseball cards from the late 60s and early 70s. Very few of them have value because I kept files of players by the team that they were on. So all my cards are really worn. And if a player was traded, I was a real dummy. I actually marked out the team name on the card and put the new team name on. So obviously not a smart thing to do.
Yeah. So we didn't talk. We talked none about golf signature. You said you have some. I have a Luke Donald hat over here, and that's the only golf signature I have. But you've got a lot, right?
I have a lot of golf balls that are signed and hats. Interesting, I have a huge Masters flag, and what I wanted to do was try to get as many Masters winners to sign it as I could. And I have 8 that have signed it. The last person to sign it was Bernard Longer, and I got him at TPC Sugarloaf. And after he signed it, he handed it to Miguel Jimenez, and I couldn't exactly grab it back from him. So I have 8 Masters champions plus Miguel Jimenez that have signed my huge Masters flag.
You got to win one now, right?
He does.
I don't think he's going to win one.
I think he's beyond that now. So
I do have a couple of funny stories. I've met a lot of different folks just kind of in the bumping factor, but as a kid, I grew up about 10 minutes from Carbondale, Illinois, which is the home of the Southern Illinois Salukis, and that's where Walt Frazier played.
Okay.
And a local businessman had befriended Clyde, as he was called then, and Clyde had stopped by to see this person. Had a business that the name of the business was called Mills. So me and all of our little neighborhood kids were out playing wiffle ball one afternoon in, I think it was 1970, and another neighborhood kid comes riding his bike up like Paul Revere and declares, "Walt Frazier's at Mills! Walt Frazier's at Mills!" And that was a block away from my house across the railroad tracks. So we made a beeline to go see Clyde, and sure enough, we got there, and there is Clyde Walt Frazier in his white suit, and of course at that time he was the toast of New York. The Knicks had just won the world championship, and Walt Frazier, Clyde Frazier was their leader. Every kid knew who Walt Frazier was, and we were just in awe. There were about 7 or 8 of the neighborhood kids there, and the last kid that runs up is the big slow kid. He's heart of gold, but not the brightest kid in the world. And I'll call him Jimmy just to protect the innocent. But Jimmy looks at Clyde and he says, "Are you Walt Frazier?" And we were just aghast that somebody would ask that question. But Frazier was very polite and he said, "Yes, son, I am Walt Frazier." And Jimmy looks at him and he says, "I've heard of you. You're the guy that won the fight."
And did Walt have a fur coat on?
He did not have a fur coat on because it was June.
Okay.
But he had gotten Clyde Frazier mixed up with Joe Frazier, and we were appalled at Marty. And you talk about deflating an ego. I think Clyde was rather deflated that somebody had. I also ran into Magic Johnson, and I did get his autograph from my brother, and it was at Hartsfield Airport, and it was after a red-eye flight, and there was nobody in the airport. It was like 5 in the morning, and I think I was the first person to recognize, and it was one of those things where this guy looks like an athlete, and I went ahead of him and turned around, and sure enough, it was Magic Johnson. And I stopped him and asked him for an autograph from my brother. I didn't have anything to sign except a piece of accounting-type paper. And after I recognized him, somebody else stopped him and he said, Magic, can I have my picture made with you?" And this was, before cell phones, but this guy had a little instant camera with him. And Magic looked at him and he said, "Dude," he says, "I just got off of a red-eye from L.A. He said, "My head's all nappy looking, and you want your picture made with me?" And then he smiled at him, and he put his arm around him. He says, "Make it quick, partner." And that was kind of quite a good, quite a fun thing to witness. How some of these guys, like Magic Johnson, who probably gets hounded for his autograph with no privacy, was very, very nice. Lou Brock, I met him. He was very nice. In terms of golfers, the ones, Bernard Longer was terrific. Luke Donald was nice. Zach Johnson was a very nice autograph. He actually thanked my son for coming out to see him when my son asked for an autograph. I think the easiest way to get an autograph is have some kid with you. Because the kids will get the autographs. And I do know some collectors actually bring a kid with them and ask them to get them signed, and then they pay them, which is terrible. Tom Watson signed a golf ball for me, but he signed it so poorly, he handed it to me, and I guess he thought I was a collector that sold stuff, and I've never sold anything. But he handed it back to me, and he says, "You won't see this one on eBay," and you can hardly recognize. I mean, it just looks like scribble on a golf ball. But I do have it, and I know Tom Watson signed it, but it would be hard for me to prove to anyone that he signed it. Dave Winfield wasn't exactly nice, but I did get his autograph, and Phil Mickelson wasn't very nice, which I know a lot of people say, well, Phil Mickelson's great. Well, he wasn't so great to me. But when I tried to get his autograph, and then I was at a charity event, or actually a vendor event that he was, I actually got him to sign the thing that he wouldn't sign for me a week before that, which is kind of interesting.
Well, tell them the Hank Aaron story about your bench.
Oh, I bought a bench at a charity auction, and one of the things that you did is a baseball bench, and one of the things that it was a children's charity that Hank Aaron was very involved in, and he actually stopped by at the end of the night, and he actually signed the bench for me, and also signed. I later got a ball because I spent enough money on the bench that I got a ball signed by Hank Aaron. So that sits in my all of the stuff that I have. Probably some of it has some value, but it has more value to me than it does to anybody else. So all the stuff that I have, I generally display it. I probably ought to buy some acrylic for some of it because some of it probably does have some value. But even the bench, I don't really like people to sit in it, but it sits next to my ping pong table with Hank Aaron's signature. So
That's awesome.
All right, cool.
And I do have John Wooten and Joby Hall somewhere in my arsenal, but it's just on a piece of typing paper. My brother used to host a sports talk show, and of course one of the unwritten rules there is you never ask anybody for an autograph. But he told them, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I've never had anybody like you two on the show together. This was before cell phones, and he said, I sure would like it if you'd sign something for my brother. And so they both signed a piece of typing paper for me, or a card, because he didn't have anything else to sign. But he said they were both, Joby Hall and John Wooten were both very, very gracious folks.
John Wooten is a fabulous guy. Yeah.
So, and I met Paul Horning one time after the Kentucky Derby at a restaurant, and he was enjoying himself. But I interrupted his dinner, thinking, gosh, I shouldn't be interrupting this guy to ask him for an autograph. He signed the Kentucky Derby form for me, and I think I made his day asking him for his autograph, because he was like, yeah, I'd love to sign something. You got anything else you want me to sign? So, but anyway, and I did sit next to Hank Stram on a plane one time. That was an interesting thing. My brother was a huge Kansas City Chief. We were in first class, and he was on his way out to do he'd done the game in Atlanta with Jack Buck, on TV, and he was flying out to Los Angeles to do the Monday night game, and we were in first class, and he was across the aisle from me. He was obviously studying, so I didn't want to interrupt him, but when dinner came, I asked him for an autograph, and he wrote something that said something like, when in doubt, call right trap 56 plunge, or something like that, and I had no idea what it said. He made it out to my brother, and I asked him, I said, so am I supposed to know what this means? And he said, have you seen my movie? And I said, no, I haven't seen your movie. And he said, well, if your brother is a Chiefs fan, he'll know what this is, but if he doesn't, ask him to see my movie. So my brother is the biggest sports trivia person in the world. So I called him as soon as I got in that night, And I said, Jeff, has Hank Stram ever been in a movie? And he thought for a while and thought, and he said, no, Hank Stram, in North Dallas 40, he went in, he was going through all the things where he might have had a cameo, and he said, I don't think Hank Stram has ever been in a movie. And so I read him the, when in doubt, call right trap, whatever, and my brother starts laughing hysterically. He said he's talking about one of those HBO NFL films, and that's the play that he called to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's wow.
Nice.
And he said he made a big deal in this HBO Films thing about how he had practiced that play since training camp and they'd never run it. And as soon as they got to the ball on the goal line, he knew they'd won the Super Bowl because nobody had ever scouted that play, and it was a sure touchdown. He called the play and then went to sit down because he knew that they would need to be preparing for the kickoff because they had just won the Super Bowl.
That's wild.
That is awesome.
So, but anyway, he was a nice man to me.
Good. Well, Steve, appreciate you calling in. That's a great story to end it on.
Well, take care and enjoyed it today, Chuck. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, buddy. Bye-bye. So, that's a pretty cool story, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is awesome.
The
Awesome
plunge.
story.
Yeah. So, what do you think about that, Tim?
Some great stories.
Yeah.
Making memories.
Yeah. Jason, you got anything about what Steve said?
No, that's just great. I just enjoy listening to him. It was just good. I love to hear these stories about sports. I'm a sports fan anyway, so
If Steve's told
just
me,
to hear
I've
your
heard
stories,
it 20
Tim, this has
times
been
because
great.
I've
So.
known Steve. We've been playing
great.
poker once a month together for over 38 years. So I've heard them all, but every time he's just as passionate and just as excited about talking about it. So makes the show great. Guys, thanks for coming in today.
Enjoyed it today. Really enjoyed it today.
Gentlemen out there, don't forget, know your numbers, cover your ass, get your prostate checked. We'll see you next Wednesday and probably talk about the NFL draft. Take care.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was good. That went good. That went a lot better than I thought it would. I wasn't real sure about that.